they'll have something in the bio saying 20 plus year photographer, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at their profile and 8 times out of 10, I'm not going to say it on this because I don't want us to get demonetized. You know the type of images you're going to see on the profile, right?
Yeah.
And it's tasteless and the lighting's rubbish. And in my head, I'm thinking, you've been doing this for 20 years, but you've clearly not improved.
Yeah.
What's gone wrong? Yeah. It makes no sense to me.
My issue is if I go onto social media and I ask you which one you like or which image you like here between 2 images, right? That's not necessarily saying that the images are bad, either images are bad. That's just asking for an opinion. I'm asked for opinion. So whatever criticism come from that, I have to take it because I went out there and asked for that.
Hi guys, it's Dems.
And it's Compton. And welcome to the Be Cool Studios podcast.
And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about something that we've been talking about for a while. And it's the whole notion of constructive criticism, when to use it, how to use it. I think you should kick this one off, Compton.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a touchy subject for me because the reason being is I've experienced this myself, and I've had cases where people have actually come in and make criticism without actually giving any sort of feedback. I find it's tricky because if you put your work out on social media when it comes to the creative side of this industry, when you put your work out there, you are technically vulnerable to criticism from people. Right? People are gonna say that, maybe this is not my taste or whatever, blah blah blah, which is fine. But if they do it in a way where they say this is why I don't like it, rather than no, I just don't like it, then I can understand. But if they say, well, it's shit or something like that, then that's not constructive. Because the reason I say it, I don't know if you've had experiences, because it's not just me. I've had other people, other friends within the industry had the same experience. So that's why I thought it would be a great episode for us to talk about this today, just to explain to people that yes, it's good to criticize, but please do it in a constructive way where you're giving feedback, valuable feedback, where that person can actually use that and then go create something better the next time round.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So with the rise of social media, everyone has a voice. For better or worse, everyone has a voice. And the way I see criticism is sometimes criticism comes from people that are not even in the same field as you. So for example, we are photographers, you know what I mean? We do portrait work, fashion, e-com, studio work. And you could get a landscape photographer that jumps in saying, the lighting's not right on that. Brother, you shoot outside, like with natural light. Why are you talking about my studio lighting? Like, we don't play the same game. Have you had that?
No, I've had that, but someone I know recently had that, and it was just hilarious to see. And I find it frustrating, and because if you answer those people back, you then look like you are upset, like you're mad or whatever, but you're basically trying to make that point to them, but you don't want to make that point in a harsh way because you don't want them to feel bad about themselves, but they've just made you feel bad. So that's what I said about it's a thin line. So a mutual friend had that same scenario before, where someone's criticized his work, and when they go in and look at the work, the caliber of work that they were actually producing, you could go from the profile picture all the way down to the last image, the first image they ever take, and they've not actually grown or developed or improved, and they're criticizing my work or his work, sorry. So we had a good chuckle about it. We've spoken about it on a little live on Instagram as well, and I think that's why it's prompted us to do this, because we want people to know that the reason you're giving criticism, right, to somebody is not necessarily because that person's work is shit. You want to give them criticism where they can actually use that to then go better themselves, because you can find that somebody might be just starting out in a journey. So this is why you have to be careful how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you're just starting out your journey, and I basically come say, if you ask me for advice on an image, I will give you my honest opinion, and that is the best way. Like, maybe DM that person, say, look, I would probably do it like this. If I were you, I would do it like this. Reason being, blah blah blah. But if you're giving it to some random person that you don't know, they might be starting out in a photography journey or a creative journey, and then that might totally upset them and discourage them from actually pursuing it any further, because they'll think that, oh, my work is not good enough. But we all know photography and creativity is a very individual thing, and it's down to that person's taste.
Yeah. It's important to have these conversations with people, though. And I also believe part of progressing and evolving is having open conversations, but from a constructive manner. Because, as well, I keep going back, in the age of social media, a lot of people sometimes are just out here to troll.
Yeah.
And I do find that I'm a person that when I'm online, to the best of my ability, I try and not let anybody draw me out
Yeah.
in a public space, because it's not a safe place for anybody. So when I sit back and I see conversations, for example, on like certain people's pages on Instagram, for example, or critiques on their photography, I'll see, for example, somebody who is amazing at studio photography. You know what I mean? I've only been doing this for a couple of years, and I like the lighting techniques, etc. Then there's always has to be this one person who pops up saying, oh, well, your lighting's not right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. And then when I see that one comment, I then take it upon myself to then go on that person's profile. So my way of thinking is, if you're going to leave this public comment telling that person your lighting's not right in a negative way, you better back what you're saying.
Yeah.
Then when I go on that person's profile, they will have all the best gear. They will have something in the bio saying 20 plus year photographer, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at their profile, and 8 times out of 10, I'm not going to say it on this because I don't want us to get demonetized. You know the type of images you're going to see on the profile, right?
Yeah.
And it's tasteless and the lighting's rubbish. And in my head, I'm thinking, you've been doing this for 20 years, but you've clearly not improved.
Yeah.
What's gone wrong?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
And I personally think there's a sense of jealousy it comes from as well. And that is, depending on how you look at it, it's a good thing or a bad thing. If someone's jealous of your work, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. And that's not being big-headed. Like I know I've improved. Each year I've improved. But I know where I want to go and where I want to be in terms of my photography and the final product that I produce and send out onto social media. And I know photographers who are there. But I don't go onto their profile and say that, oh, that's shit. You need to do it differently, or you should have done it like this. I know that's where I'm trying to get to. So I look at all the different elements, like you talk about lighting, retouching, props, staging, all these things. How can I implement some of what they have done into my work to get it better? But I've also had cases where people have reached out to me, and I had someone did that actually last night, where someone messaged me, was like, I tried this at home recently. What do you think? What would you change? And I just give them that feedback. They were very happy with it. And I said, look, it's not bad. It's a start. It's better to start and try than not try at all.
Love that.
You know what I mean? So I've given them an assignment to take the same model, the same lighting setup, and all you do is tweak the model or the lighting setup a little bit and try this and see how it works. And if that doesn't work, come back, we'll reassess what you're doing wrong, and then we'll move on from there. This person is new to photography, obviously now trying to improve. So imagine if I go and say straight away, I would think, that's poor, man, that's really rubbish. They've physically reached out to me for that feedback.
And I also feel as well that when you're in a position of influence, you have a duty of care.
Yeah.
Because you've been doing this coming on 9 years?
Yeah, 9.5 years.
Right? So in some circles, you're either seen as a veteran because you've been doing it for 9 years, or you might still be seen as someone relatively new. But irrelevant of that, you've got experience now where people trust you enough
Yep.
to be an educator, to help them, and that's what we're here to do. And it's interesting for me as well, which just goes to show how serious we take this discipline we're in, photography, because some people will think to themselves, oh yeah, I've got 9 years in, yeah, I've clocked the game. Clocked what game? Photography is always changing.
Always learning, aren't you?
Exactly. So it's interesting to me because you could have someone who's literally just picked up a camera today, for example, right? My partner, for example, you know, she just picked up a camera recently, right? Doing shoots. There are some of my images that she'll look at and be like, oh my God, I like this. But then there's many images of yours that I look like and be like, how the hell did this boy get this? And I'm sure there's people that you look to.
Yep.
So there's a ladder. There's always ways to improve. So that's why when these people come in with criticism that I deem negative, what are you here to do? Are you just here to stir the pot, or are you actually here to learn and give back and do something constructive within the community? They're the people that I just think, what are you here to do?
Each one teach one. The thing is, like photography is always evolving, isn't it? We're always learning. There's always new gear, new ways of doing stuff. Nothing that we do now is new in a way, because it's just tweaked differently to match your taste. And we've said this previously, it's a creative taste down to that person who's taking a photo.
Yeah.
If they think that is the best image that they can take, that's why they've taken it. That's why they've posted it. If that's not something to me and your taste, then that's fine. And we've seen work where we think, I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have done it differently. You know, I'm a crazy guy when it comes to lighting. That's the thing that I focus on the most. I would look at how people light their images first, and I'm learning lighting from other photographers.
Let me quickly interject and explain. Where's the camera? Swing the camera to me, please. You see why Uncle Compton is a nearly swore then. Not trying to get us demonetized. You see why this guy is a scientist at this. He said something to me one time, right? And I thought, did not even think of that. He said something to me like, if you ever see like a picture online and you think, oh my gosh, this picture's amazing, zoom into the person's eyes. I was like, what the hell am I zooming into the eyes for? Zoom into the eyes and you will see in the reflection of the eyes what softbox is being used, how many lights are in there, the angles. And I just thought to myself, this guy's not human.
And that's something I've learned from somebody else.
Yeah.
So sharing that with you and then sharing that with other photographers, obviously is quite important, because that's how I learn lighting. I look at, like, if there's an image that I like and I want to replicate that lighting, like, don't get us wrong, I will never get it as perfect as what it is in an image of a photographer that I admire.
Yeah.
But at least get it as close as possible, because we're not going to know unless they actually give you the settings. We're not going to know the exact settings of the camera, the lighting, etc.
But even if you dial in their exact settings,
you're not going to get the same
post is still going to be different.
No, 100%, because it's a completely different thing. So this is why we say that it's all down to your creative taste and thing. If you think your work is not good enough and you go out there and you ask, like, this is where I think people might say that we're being a little bit picky or touchy with their subject because we've experienced it personally. My issue is, if I go onto social media and I ask you which one you like or which image you like here between two images, right? That's not necessarily saying that the images are bad, either images are bad. That's just asking for an opinion. I'm asking for an opinion. So whatever criticism come from that, I have to take it because I went out there and asked for that, right? If I have not gone out there and asked you for that opinion, if I just posted two photos and I say 1 versus 2, I've not asked for anything. I've not asked you to criticize. But if you want to give me a constructive criticism, I don't necessarily do it. Don't do it on the actual feed or the post. Just send that person a DM. Send me a DM. Said, I like the image 1 that you post out, but I wouldn't post image 2 because of X, Y, Z.
Are you relatively good with taking criticism in general?
Before, I used to be like, I think we've had this conversation privately. like it wound me up once when someone mentioned something about an image, which like when I first posted it and everyone else saw it or whatever, I didn't like look at it in that sort of context. But that made me realize that certain photographers only out looking for certain things.
We know what we mean. Yeah.
And you know what I mean, like they're only out looking for certain things and want a reaction from you, so you have to be careful. So when it first used to happen, it really wound me up. And I remember once someone posted something on a post that I was shared via another Instagram account, and they basically said your work is mediocre. And I was just like, okay. So did the same thing that you just spoke about, went onto their profile.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, this was a portrait shoot in studio.
Mm-hmm.
This person was shooting animals. He was shooting dogs and cats and stuff in forests and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're not actually playing with artificial light. You're not shooting people or whatever. And it really upsetted me because of that reason as well. I was just like, you're not actually thinking, why even? So I tried
Did you respond?
I did, and then I deleted it. I did respond. I said that was a bit uncalled for, blah, blah, blah. You never know, you could hurt my feelings, whatever. But then the people who run the page that the image was reposted to then messaged me privately and said, please ignore it. And this is something that stayed with me. They basically said, people who can do, people who can't complain or find things to complain about.
Yeah.
So
some men just want to watch the world burn, Word to I think that's Alfred. Is that Batman's butler? Alfred? Oh my gosh, they're gonna kill me in the comments if I got this right. Help me out, man. Alfred's Batman's butler, innit? No? You both rubbish. Yeah, he is. I'm just gonna say he is. Alfred. Yeah. Yes, Alfred Pennyworth. There you go.
But yeah, so
he said that. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
How do you do it, right? For me, how I would do it is...
Please Google that, because that's going to annoy me if I've got it wrong. Sorry. Can you just Google if it's Alfred Pennyworth? Is that his name, please? As you were saying.
If it was me, how I would go about giving constructive criticism if I didn't like something, there's two ways. I either don't comment at all and keep it moving.
Yes.
If I don't like it, if I genuinely think that person could do with a little bit of help, I would say, hi mate, I've just seen your post, and this is a private message. I would private message them, hi mate, I've just seen your post. Good attempt on this one. Really liked the certain aspects of it. I really enjoyed what you did there. But have you ever considered trying this? Maybe trying it from a different angle, maybe trying a different lens, etc., etc. That's how I would do it. But also only if they ask for that. Again, if they've posted it and say, which one do you like and why? Then I will do that.
Yeah, because sometimes people just want to throw the two pence.
That's the how. How would you go about?
Me. So, like I said,
if you saw an image, right? Let me paint this picture for you.
Yeah.
You're scrolling Instagram, you're scrolling Facebook, whatever, and you saw an image from a photographer friend of yours, right? And you can see the excitement this person's had posting this for, my best work ever. But technically they could have done a lot better, right? They've said, this is my best shoot ever. What do you guys think? That's the post. How would you react if you think they could personally do a little bit better?
So what I try and do, and I try, I know sometimes I fail, but genuinely what I try and do is, if I'm not speaking from a place of knowledge, sometimes I keep quiet. And all I mean by that is I've been doing photography for about 2 years, but it hasn't been full time. I'd probably call myself like a hobbyist kind of thing. So because I'm still learning myself, me personally, I don't feel I'm in a position to comment on the technical side of it because I'm still learning. And this is what I mean by some of these people that when they make these comments, I'm expecting, and maybe I'm guilty of looking at it from my perspective, but it's a human thing to do, to look at things from your perspective, because I am Damar. This is my perspective. But when I see these troll comments and then I go on their pages and I'm like, your work is not to the standard. Basically, what you've just said does not, and what's on your page, what is on your page does not warrant this comment here. You need to go back in the time chamber and fix up yourself.
Yeah.
But if I see something that I like, I'll double tap it. Don't work. Love this, etc. If I don't like it, like you said before, I just keep it moving. I don't say anything because we've got to be very careful about how we conversate as well, because you never know what someone's going through, and you don't know that that one comment that you made could be the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say. You know, not everyone has the ability to take criticism, and you just got to play to your audience and be careful of how you relay the message, because some of us are just sensitive souls.
I almost want
Nothing's wrong with that.
almost want them to basically put themselves in that person's shoes, right? That's how you'd look at it. Put yourself in that person's shoes. What did this person do to get this image out onto social media, out onto the world? You know, and how I would have done it differently, how you would have done it differently, and then go back and tell her. Don't just go thinking like you said, someone could be going through the worst of worst, right? And their outlet is that creativity, and that creative outlet is in social media, posting on social media, sharing their work on social media, right? They might be depressed as hell, and being a photographer, being a makeup artist, being a stylist, etc., is their way of actually being free from what's actually happening in their life.
But the good side of criticism as well, when done correctly, it inspires you.
Yeah.
So what I said before about, for example, my partner starting her photography journey recently, I'm a couple of years ahead. You're a few years ahead of myself. There's someone who's a few years ahead of you. So there's a chain of, I won't say a chain of command, but there's multiple rungs. Imagine the top of the ladder is perfection, which we'll never get to. No one will ever hit that last rung, but we all start and we just keep trying to elevate each year. So the good side of criticism is, for example, my two favorite photographers, which I've always said, because Uncle Compton still thinks that, blah, blah, blah. But like you and Iz, for example, I'll say this on the podcast. Anytime if I post an image and either you or Iz comments on that, like, bro, this is dope, I get a feeling of elation, like, my two G's like my pictures, because that makes me know that I've done something that one of you two genuinely like. And because I look up to you two as photographers, I'm like, this one's all right. Like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And then, so when we do that to other people, like I comment on other people's stuff, whatever, that inspires you to think, all right, keep going. Because at the end of the day, all you want to do is just try and level up from the last shoot.
Yeah.
You said it on the last podcast before. Just try and level up. Learn something from the last one, that you take it to the next one, and just keep trying to level up.
Yeah.
Best you can do.
How can you better? Because if you're creating the same work every single time, then you're not actually improving and you know, getting better, because you're creating the same thing. And yes, in certain industry, you have to do that. Like for e-com or whatever, you have to basically replicate the same sort of lighting setup constantly. But how you switch that up is by maybe using a different focal length, a different lens, you know, a different angle, you know, all these things you can do to keep it sort of fresh, because it can get repetitive. If you're not looking at your photography or your creative thing that way, like if you're a makeup artist, right, and you've done a shoot and you think you go away from that shoot, that's the best I've done, then you feel a certain way about it. But if you go away from the shoot and think, maybe I could have done a little bit better, I could do something better, that'll put you down. And going into your next one, hopefully it pushes you to, you know what, I'm going to go in, and next one I'm going to go in hard.
No, I agree, man.
But yeah, just to wrap up, with the whole criticism thing, why we want to talk about it, is, you said, be careful. Be careful what you're saying. For me now, I just laugh it off, because I've now developed a thick skin within the industry. I know the standard of work I want to produce. I know the standard of work I want to see people that come to me and ask me advice produce. So I just take everything with a pinch of salt, as they say, and I keep it moving. I just laugh it off. when it first comes in, you always have to process it first. So I try and do that, process it first before I actually respond, because I know, you know, if you respond straight away, you're responding from a place of, oh, why me?
Yeah.
As Balotelli said, why me?
Yeah.
Why pick on me today? So for me, think about it. Think about what you're gonna say. If you want to say something bad, fine. Social media is there. Like I know people gonna say, like, if you don't want bad comments, don't put your work out there. That's not necessarily how it should be. You know, again, a lot of time and effort has gone into someone actually creating something that they've put out there.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things influencers do that I don't like. But I don't go onto their page and say, I hate you, or I hate this, I hate that. I think for us, it's a lot more mild compared to what I see in like sports. So I'm quite happy in a way, to be fair. It's a lot more mild. Like if a footballer goes singing, I get mad anyway. Like I get mad at like thing, but I don't go on that footballer's page or a basketball player's page and go, you know what, you're shit, you should leave. Or sorry to swear if that thingy, but or you're crap, you should go, blah blah blah. I don't go on, but I don't know what that person is going through, or you know, they've tried the hardest that day. If they physically haven't tried, then you know, that's a different story. But still, I would not go on to their profile and bombard them with stuff. Like, I would just step back and look at what is potentially happening behind the scenes. Like, I've had days, like, people tell me, where I've had days where it's like, I am literally so in my own little world, I'm not even focused on what's happening around me. And that can come off negative as well, because people think that you're not in the room, you're not present, you're not part of what's happening.
Part of the creative mind is you easily get lost in your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you got so many things happening at the same time.
So what advice would you give to trolls?
To trolls or people that get trolled? Which
Both.
one?
What would you give to people who troll and people who get trolled? How to deal with it and how to react?
For the people who troll, you're going to keep doing what you're going to keep doing, and that's on you. The way I genuinely live my life now is people are going to do what they're going to do. That's just genuinely how I see life. Call it a pessimistic viewpoint or a realistic viewpoint, but I just genuinely feel people are going to be who they're going to be. And based off that, if you are someone who experiences criticism that you deem destructive, don't respond straight away, because when you respond straight away, you're probably responding from a place of passion, and you might say something that you can't take back. And in this era of social media, Twitter, I always talk about Twitter will find you ASAP. So to wrap up, from my perspective, if you are on the receiving end of some criticism that you don't like, just think to yourself, have I improved from my last job? Have I done something that I'm proud of? Are my peers, people who I look up to and respect to, if they know of me, are they proud of this? And if so, block everything else out. Keep it moving. We are not here to please everybody. You can't please everybody. We don't have the capacity for that. So as long as you know that you're good at what you're doing, keep it moving.
And you're trying your best. And remember, be nice. Always.
Exactly. And on that note, that's been another good episode today. My name is Dems once again.
My name is Compton.
And you know the motto, kids: be cool,
be true,
be you.
peace and love.
Manners and respect.